Hi, Lorenzo. Welcome to AI for Business. Happy to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, Lorenzo is the Senior VP of Sales in Rocket B2B. Those of you who kind of know me and are a bit closer to me, that you know that I have a list, a secret list of AI companies that I follow their work, and B2B Rocket is one of those. So I want to ask Lorenzo to hear from himself. Tell us about yourself and what is B2B Rocket?
Yeah. So, first of all, like you said, I'm the SVP um, of the sales department here at B2B Rocket. I've been in sales for about 18 years. So I have a lot of experience in this area. I've been one of the top salesmen at every company I've worked for. Um, maybe but one of those companies. But in the past 18 years, I've had a lot of experience. And I know that comes across, essentially it comes across like, hey, I know what I'm doing. But I think that just helps me know what I don't like about sales, maybe a little bit the most, right? Part of that is appointment attainment. That's why I found B2B Rocket, was actually out of my hatred for appointment attainment, right? Actually reaching out, doing engagement with people. I don't think anybody enjoys making 100 phone calls a day. I don't think anybody enjoys writing, 100 personalized emails a day, right? It's very difficult, rigorous work, but if done properly, it can result in good appointments, right? And it's still the best way of outreach. The problem, though, is the amount of time that it takes, right? It takes time away from you, it takes time away from your family. It is thankless work, but it's how I found myself as the number one salesperson at a lot of companies I worked for, because I just had more work ethic than a lot of people. So I would stay and I would work when other people go home. And I didn't like doing that, but it meant, hey, I get to achieve, right? I get to be a top performer. I was on the search for companies that could help me automate that process. And I found B2B Rocket. I was working for a company at the time. I was working for Weave. All of their outreach is completely manual. I said, "Hey, I'm going to use this product to do this outreach for me," and my outreach skyrocketed. And I
So you're
was,
first a user
mhm,
before you joined the company, is that right?
yeah, exactly.
Wow,
So,
okay.
and this was
Makes
in
it
their,
interesting.
this was in their inception. Actually, this is when the product first started coming out, and I was like, "Hey, I love this product," and I got to try it out, and I got to, see how I liked it. And I was like, I love this product. And in fact, I love this product a lot more than I like my own. So I said, I want to go work for this company, and reached out and I said, hey, I love your product. I want to work for you. I can sell this product with my eyes closed. Right. And that's essentially what happened. That was my initial engagement with their company. And the rest is history. Went to work for B2B Rocket, got to see the inner workings. I've been there for about 3.5 years now. The company is exploding with activity. It's exploding with creativity in this industry. They own the patents to this technology, what we're doing. They just barely got that back like 3 months ago. So that's been a patent going out for over almost 4 years now since they first sent it in. But they finally got it back. They have the patent to this technology, and no one else is doing what we're doing. A lot of companies claiming that they have AI agents out there, but we're really the ones that are doing this in an applied method where we actually have fully conversational AI. Just like I'm talking to you, Sarah. You know, I want an AI to be able to do that with my clients.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Um, there are a lot of companies that we hear from. I'm in the Bay Area, so I almost see everything firsthand in this space here.
Right.
There's a lot of companies that are, um, I haven't seen, like, I haven't worked with their products, but I know that they are in a similar space. How is B2B Rocket doing it differently? What is the patent that you own that kind of differentiates you among everyone else?
Yeah. So the I guess the basics of the patent and the basics of our technology, just in more of a general sense,
Mm.
is first of all, we're providing you with AI conversational agents. That means when our AI agents reach out to somebody, we've trained them on we've given them good examples of how you reach out to people.
Mhm.
We've trained them on your call to action, on your value proposition, on all the different things that you would do in an interaction, even your style of outreach, right? And we're essentially duplicating you and your methods that already work. And we're saying, hey, what if you can have an AI agent at the same time it takes you to reach out to one person, reach out to 500 people instead, right? So it's 500 times more proficient than a human being. And it's going to not only email them, have full conversations there, it's also going to call them, just like you would have an assistant call somebody and say, hey, Lorenzo sent you that email the other day. He wanted me to reach out and, see if you wanted to book a time with him. The AI agents are incredibly conversational in that method as well. They also do LinkedIn outreach. They'll actually reach out and engage with somebody and say, hey, send you a connection request, wanted to connect with you, have a conversation over LinkedIn, right? These are all elements that are part of our patent, which is essentially AI personalized engagement for the purposes of business to business interaction. That's what it comes down to. So,
Right. I have worked with a couple of tools that they do just for the LinkedIn piece. And I want to double click a little bit into that. Uh, you create the sequence. Go say hi today. Give this intro. They don't do a personalization, but you first say that, and then after a couple of days, the second outreach, after like 3 days, but you get to kind of create that sequence, how many days in between and what you say and all of that. Um, in terms of just the LinkedIn piece of it, is it a best practice that you have discovered that this works best and this is, the best sequence and the type of messaging and conversation that works best for LinkedIn outreaches, you'd say?
yeah. So a lot of times your emails should almost be, I mean, you want somebody to know who you are before they get a connection request on LinkedIn from you, or it looks weird, right?
Mhm.
Typically, a lot of the times we've done advertisements. We also send the person an email, and then the best practice is as soon as they've read that email, then you send them a connection request on LinkedIn. And you're going to get a lot more interaction there because they recognize you, right? And if I recognize somebody that sent me a connection request, their company or whoever it might be, I'm, 100 times more likely to actually engage with that individual. And I know that that applies to my clients as well, right? That's just, a truth about engagement. Um, on that same front, the phone calls work kind of the same way, right? So all of these different pieces, when they're intermingled and they're done properly together, they work really well. On an umbrella over all of this, though, and something that determines your ultimate is the quality of your data. It's something that we've ran into historically since the inception of our company. Data has always been a subject because it doesn't matter how many people you reach out to if they're all the wrong person, right? You want to find your actual target audience. And we did partnerships with like Zoom Info and Apollo and Rocket Reach for data for these services. We found that we kept on getting let down with the data. We're getting like,
What let you down with the data?
yeah, so that's a good question. Yeah, it was the accuracy of said data, right? We would have companies saying, yeah, this is all accurate. And then we'd see that their data hadn't been updated for 6 months. And the person was no longer in the position. And that was like, we're getting maybe 70% delivery rate. So we had 30% wasted efforts by our AI agents. And that wasn't good. So,
I think my mind is still on the sequence in LinkedIn. So you sent an email and then you send out the first message. Then what happens from there? Is there again like a best practice of okay, now what to say and in how many days in the second message and in the third message? How does that is it something that you have kind of unlocked the secret sauce over there for the LinkedIn outreach?
well, yeah, we've unlocked a lot of the secret sauces because we've been doing this for, 5 years and we use it ourselves, right, to book our own
Hmm.
appointments. So generally it's going to be, send them an email. Then if they open said email, send them a connection request on LinkedIn and then also give them a phone call. You have two triggers, right?
Mhm.
And then if they don't respond to that first email, then you send them another email, right? And follow up and have it be related to your first email. And then have triggers associated to that email as well. The triggers are an important piece. I would say they're one of the most important pieces, because what you want is, if somebody shows interest in your product, you want to extend the life of that interest, right? You don't want them looking away from your product. So if they read my email, our system can see that they read the email and then immediately send them the connection request. So they get another email saying, hey, Lorenzo just sent you a connection request on LinkedIn. And immediately after that, they get a phone call, right? It might be Jess calling them saying, hey, this is Jess calling on behalf of Lorenzo. He recently sent you that email and also sent you a connection request. He wanted me to see if you wanted to book a time. That is the most important, I'd say, aspect of all of this, is the extending the life of that engagement, because then that person will have, be able to look into what you actually do and not move on to the next thing in their life, because we're all busy, right? But if I can say, hey, I have one chance to get engaged with this person and get engagement from them, and I'm going to extend that to be the best engagement I possibly can, that's what you want. And
Right.
that doesn't happen when you send people a flyer email, right? They usually, spam folder, it's gone. But if you're sending actual engagements, real life emails talking about, hey, I saw your recent LinkedIn post about this. That's really cool that you guys are doing that. I also went to your website. I looked around your website, saw a few things. The reason I was reaching out, I've been working with people in your town there in New York, right? Or wherever they're from, right? And wanted to see if this was something that you guys were looking at. If it is, we would love to work with you. We've had a lot of success in your industry, whatever industry that might be. And because of the personalization of that, mixed with the extending the life cycle of that initial engagement, we get a lot of success. So
So two questions here. Number
yeah,
one, if somebody you reach out to them on email and then they kind of continue conversation on LinkedIn. I know I'm hooked up on LinkedIn because I do that. I reach out to people on LinkedIn a lot. Do you continue the conversation on LinkedIn, or do you kind of continue on LinkedIn and email both? Which one? Which one do you continue kind of that engagement in? Which of the
I
channels?
typically would whichever one is the most recent engagement, right? Because it shows that we're responding in the place that you most recently responded in, right? And people typically like that. So that's what the AI agent will do, is it will respond where they most recently uh, communicated. So, which a lot of times is LinkedIn, and it will engage with them there, but it won't just leave their email there. It'll also do them on the email. It will have the primary engagement be the LinkedIn engagement. So
Got it. So you kind of follow
yeah.
both and then see which one is most recent, and then you continue on the one that's most recent. Tell me about the phone calls. People, like, usually when we don't know the numbers, we don't pick up unless we're sales in the sales department. Um, then in that case, we answer all of the phone, usually most of the phone calls, right? We pick it up. Um, but outside of that, it's harder. I mean, I usually don't pick up the numbers that I don't know. How do you deal with that? Because you said you also call them.
I
What
mean,
is the reaction over there, the engagement?
yeah, yeah. A lot of time, it's the fact that the caller ID shows your company's name. That's an important aspect. When they're reading an email and they see B2B Rocket, then they see a phone call from B2B Rocket, they might be a little like, oh, maybe I picked
Okay,
this up. So
okay,
that's why that engagement, that initial engagement, is so important, is
okay.
because as soon as they show interest, you want to be able to capitalize on that. And that's what's going to cause them to open the email. That's what's going to cause them to look into your company. That's what's going to cause them to do all of these different elements that normally don't happen, but in this case will, because of kind of the flow of that interaction.
Got it. The second question I have is about deliverability, basically the deliverability infrastructure and all of that. Um, I know that um, inbox providers such as Microsoft, they have, as of May 2025, they have added new high volume requirement. And then that is pushing companies like yourself to kind of work on their delivery infrastructure. Has that impacted your outreach efforts?
One of the companies that has very favorable terms of service in that area is Google. So we're
Hmm.
utilizing their infrastructure right now.
Hmm.
And with our partnership there, we are hosting domains through them, and we're also masking those domains with your primary domain. Then we're setting up email addresses, 3 email addresses per domain that we
Okay.
utilize.
Mhm.
And by doing only 30 emails per email address, we're able to capitalize on, well, first of all, there's permanency in that. Those email addresses will always be healthy in that environment. Um, and with the diversity there of the different methods and capabilities, it ensures that you never run into issues. And then also you're staying within guidelines of those different organizations. We're getting 98% delivery rates for some companies
No,
that
that's very
only
high.
do
Yeah.
deliveries. Yeah, it's very, very high. So
Mhm.
like I think the industry standard is like 96%. So we're doing better than the industry standard. And we host that internally. We can also bring email addresses from other places, but we can only really guarantee the performance of our own that we baby for you, right? If we baby them with our system, then we know that they're going to work. If you bring them from somewhere else, unfortunately, that's just a variable that we can't confirm. But yeah.
Now I have a question about hallucinations, about
Mhm.
data. How do you basically manage the risk of hallucination with in personalization outreaches? Because you're personalizing the emails, personalizing the text messages, and personalizing the phones, or whatever that is about the data that's from the prospects. How do you make sure that it doesn't hallucinate? Because that's a high cost, right? If one is hallucinated, then it's the cost for the business is massive. So how do
Yeah.
you do that?
So hallucinations is, it's been a factor in early AI. It's definitely a big issue, right?
Mhm.
Writing emails. If you didn't look over every email, you could have something weird being said by your AI. Um, this is 5 years in development, over $17 million invested into the development of this system. One of our big priorities has been messaging and not having hallucinations. And that came down to training the AI in a professional environment on its verbiage, on its wording. And then also, we have the knowledge center capabilities within our system, which is unique only to B2B Rocket. No other system's using that. Essentially, what it does is you give the AI agent examples of your interactions, examples of how you speak with people, how you engage with them, your call to action, all the different things that you would provide to like an employee, right? Say you were to train a person, you'd have to sit down with them, provide them all these trainings. With our system, you literally upload those same trainings into B2B Rocket. It looks over all of it and it gets an idea of what your interactions look like. Because of the logic that it's using in interacting with that and with understanding your company, it's going to stick to that type of messaging within the system. Also, we do have limitations put on the system in its ability to say certain things that ensure it doesn't cross certain borders, right? It's never going to talk about religion. It's not going to talk about these other things,
Politics.
politics.
Which
Exactly.
president do you like
It's
best?
exactly. It's going to stay within the parameters of a business professional environment,
Mhm.
and it has that programmed into it. So the those kinks, and I can confidently say we have never had an issue with that. That's never been something that any of our clients have come back to us and complained about.
Right.
Um, yeah,
So
if
what is the
anything,
accuracy of say
yeah.
of these, personalized emails and outreaches? What is the accuracy you'd say? Because I'm hearing 100%, but that's I don't know. Is it? Is it because that's pretty rare to have 100%?
I mean,
Probably.
in my opinion, some of the emails that I've seen generated could probably use maybe a little bit tone improvement, but that's occasional, right? No system's perfect, but at the same time, I've never had artifact issues with our system. I've never seen that. I've generated hundreds of thousands of emails at this point with my AI agents. Never had a client come back and say, "Hey, that email was weird," right? Um, the
Is
only
it
thing that I've
possible
ever
that
seen,
they I'm
yeah,
sorry, is it possible that they have just ignored it and you might because accuracy is a
it's
big thing, right? And
well
then I
that is a possibility,
right.
but I would say it's with things like that. If it was an issue with our company, I would have heard about it. Um,
How would you hear about it if they
and
don't tell you? Like, if they don't come back to
well,
you?
yeah.
and say, hey, this information, this is not me, or this is just inaccurate. It just that
Hmm.
you'll see just the results of, okay, out of these many people who have opened our email, like this percentage of it dropped
Yeah, and
forever.
that's
There should
yeah,
be,
and that's
what is the metrics, I guess? What are the metrics that you'd say it speaks to accuracy so that you can get a number for your accuracy? Like this percentage accuracy, you're sure, for sure, this is this and up, 80% and up, for example. Do you know, like, of the metrics that you're kind of looking to kind of evaluate that for yourself? I
yeah.
know it's
So
a
I mean,
hard
that's a
question,
fair
but
question. Yeah, no, that's a fair question though, and it's one that I get pretty often, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people have little confidence in AI, and it's because of histories of experiencing AI and issues that they've seen with it. With ours, we do have metrics, right? We have metrics of people that have read the emails, been interested, and we get to see the conversations as they come in, right? We get to see the engagements, and you'll be able to see them firsthand as well, right? If there was a weird artifact issue and the weird message was sent, the clients would see it right there in the what's called the unibox within our system. It's all the engagements come into one source of truth, right? One place. It transcribes your phone calls, brings your emails, all the messaging ends up in this place within our system that you can easily go through and read. It does also give you the records of every interaction that's happened within the system as well. So you do have all of that at your fingertips, right? So if there was issues in those categories, which again, historically there never has been, right? We would have seen it by
never
now.
say never.
And yeah, right. That's
Because
true.
what I'm curious about is there has to be, like, metrics that would act as your gatekeepers, so to speak, that say, okay, we are looking into at this metric, and we're monitoring it to know whether or not we are to look for inaccuracies in data, because definitely all models, they're not 100%. And I'm very curious about that. Like, you might not know it
Yeah.
on top of your head, but it's,
Mhm.
I'm sure that you look into those metrics that will tell you, what would be the level of accuracy. And the reason I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious about it, it's because it's something that I think is very important for businesses when they reach out to their clients. They want to that they'll basically help with people understanding the kind of the value that AI can bring. Of course, hey, like, we're getting not getting 100%, but we can guarantee that this percentage, or I know 80%, 90% of the averages are going to be so accurate, and that's going to basically end up like boosting your,
Right.
SDR efforts, rather than if you would not go with us. Something like that. Something in those lines is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And and to get into the finer details in that area, I'd probably have to bring in one of my programmers into the conversation that would know
I'm sorry,
maybe these
I
specifics,
didn't
right?
mean.
And
Yeah.
but as far as kind of the level that we go for like accuracy, I can speak to that in this way.
Hmm.
We use specific AI models for specific jobs, and we assign those different models and services to unique jobs within our system. So we're actually using like 5 different AI models to
Hmm.
accomplish all of this. It's not just one, right? It's not just ChatGPT or any of these other services. We're using 5 different companies, AI technologies for specific purposes because they are good at what they do. And they all work off of each other, and they all ensure that there's a check and balance between what the messaging is. That check and balance system ensures that when you have enough checks and balances like that, it ensures quality in your messaging. That's why we haven't had weird messaging going out, because if one of the AI agents sees a message and says that doesn't look right, it'd have to go past 2 other AIs to say, hey, this also doesn't look right before it gets finalized. That's little things like that, little redundancies within our system that ensure the quality. Those are pieces to the pie. And then also security, ensuring that it's staying within certain parameters. On the security side, right? We're 256-bit military grade encryption. We're encrypted in transit and in rest, right? So we're protecting your data as well. So there wouldn't be anybody that could break in and change your messaging or anything like that as well. So all of those factors coming together, there's a very low probability of that ever happening. As far as like specific reports, I'm not sure what those reports are from my side, but I do know that the redundancy is really the key there, and the different systems working in conjunction with each other to ensure a certain style of outreach is really that's the piece that ends in the best results. So yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, let's say I'm a startup. I'm a founder. I have, I don't know, raise $10 million. I want to invest some of that money into customer acquisition and my user acquisition, and I want to partner with you. Um, Number one, who is your ideal customer? And number two, if you want to tell me what is the kind of best value that you can add for my sales team, what would that be?
Yeah, I'd say our ideal customer is almost in the title of our company, right? As long as you're business to business. But then also, if you have enough possible people to reach out to, if your entire target audience is 100 people in your
Hmm.
local area, we're not the right fit for you. If your target audience is 10,000, 100,000 people spread throughout, the United States and surrounding areas, you know, yeah, we're the right fit for you. And the reason being is that the value add that we're bringing to your sales team is, and I've experienced this myself, right? I said this is why I work for this company. Um, this type of outreach is extremely time consuming, and also it wears out your sales team. If you want good closers, people that are, get to focus on closing every day, you're not going to have them calling 100 people a day, right? They're going to get tired and they're going to get bored and they're going to start automating things that they shouldn't automate, right? You would think, hey, well, I can have a person write these personalized emails. When it comes down to it, when you have a human being writing 100 emails a day, they end up copying and pasting a lot of those emails and just changing the name on it because it's difficult work, right? It doesn't, we get lazy and we get tired. We don't want to do that. These AI agents don't have that problem. So you're replacing an entire department of your company, that SDR, BDR position at your organization, with an AI agent that's going to do more personalized engagement, better outreach, more quantity on the outreach. It's going to be more responsive, and it's going to result in way more appointments. We've seen that across the board, right? Our AI agents have been up against human beings over and over and over again and keep on winning, right? They outperform human beings on every front, and it's specific to this position, appointment attainment. It's not better at closing deals than you are. It's not a better closer. It's a better appointment setter, and it's a better opportunity giver, right? It's going to give you more opportunities, more at bats to close more deals and
Hmm.
focus on closing instead of trying to find, people to close, right? But
So,
that would be
mhm.
my opinion. That's the biggest value add around all of this is time saving, right? And money saving, you know.
So you're helping companies. So first off, it's B2B. They have to be large enough, have to have a large enough
Yes.
potential customer base that would make sense for them to use your service. And then it's saving time and money by replacing some of the repetitive work, which is the outreach of like emailing and all those multi channels that the outreach that you kind of do, different channels, LinkedIn, email, call, and all of that, and also personalizes so that you will have companies will have better leads, more qualified leads to then reach out to. And I'm assuming that after some point, it's going to be still the SDR, the human SDR, that's going to take on or take over the conversation. Is that right?
Typically, actually, we've seen it's the salesperson or closer at the company that then steps in once the appointment's set or once the interest is recognized for that individual. It's a closer that will then step in and say, "Hey, let's get this going." I mean, companies do have an SDR that steps in on maybe high value leads and things like that. So yes to both.
Is there any, basically, does it ever happen that the closed the AI even closes the, deal, or is it
Yeah.
always a human at the end?
No, we have some clients where instead of setting up an appointment, they drive traffic to have clients fill out a form. And if they
Mm-hmm.
qualify for said form for maybe a loan or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
then it's pretty much done most of the groundwork, and they're able to just approve the loan and send it over to them, and they're good to go. I would say in some cases it's closing the deal, but that's the exception, not the rule there. So
Okay, so there's usually a human being that's stepping in to close it.
yes.
And then would you say is it like because I remember that you had on your website the two to three times more likely that that you'll get more qualified leads and close. Is that something that's still valid or did I get that right?
Yeah, I would say most of my clients, at least, if you get in front of an individual, right, you're going to close them at a higher rate, right? You're going to actually, um, and especially with a salesperson that's not tired, that actually wants to be there and actually hasn't been making 100 phone calls a day, and has a positive demeanor, they're going to close more deals. And I've seen that in my own life. And since I worked for a company, Bamboo HR, worked for them for 5 years, and we had a team of, I think it was like 50 people that booked appointments for us all day, and that was their only job. And my job was just to be a closer. And I was one of the top 3 salesmen at that company for all 5 years that I worked there, because I got to focus on doing one thing, which was closing deals. Now that company was spending a lot of money for each appointment, right? They were spending, I can even tell you how much, but it was a lot of money for each appointment, because they were paying $5,000, $6,000 a month for each one of those 50 um, BDRs or SDRs to work for them.
Mhm.
And what we're doing here is saying, hey, we can replace that human capital with an AI agent. But yes, yeah, we do have a much higher close rate with our clients because of some of those elements, right? And you could take that; it's a multiple elements around that, but those are maybe the primary reasons. So yeah,
Um, so is it, for example, if someone's an executive coach, can they still, because they're going to be most B2C for the most part, like they want to reach out to, you know, human beings that they are going to be their clients, like the executives, to coach them and all that. Can this is it is Rocket is B2B Rocket a effective tool for them as well, or is it just purely B2B?
okay, absolutely, it's going to be an effective tool. And you know, I I can't confirm for every single industry or every single pitch or every single product exactly how it's going to work, right? That's unique to that product. That's unique to that engagement, right? But what I can say is that if the best method for you to reach out to those individuals would be personalized outreach and engagement, and then being able to bring them into our system and automate that is just going to make you more proficient in that outreach. And that's really the key to all of this, right? And we do have B2C clients that are very successful with our system. I have one client that sells spas, and he's very, very successful. He targets well-to-do people at companies, right? Just says, "Hey, do you want a spa?" Right? We've been doing these executive spas for people, and he's been very successful. So with that being in a professional environment as well, and kind of the coaching environment and different things like that, you'll be able to target those individuals based on their position and different things on those lines. That B2C environment is definitely conducive to B2B Rocket reaching out to those people. I wouldn't say every single, B2C piece is right. Like if you're selling, energy drinks, we're probably not the right B2C energy drinks from a gas station trying to sell people. We're not the proper fit. But with that example being much more professional, absolutely. I don't see why that wouldn't work.
All right. One more question that keeps flying in my mind is there are companies out there that say, hey, like in the same BDR and SDR space, that they're like, oh, we're replacing humans like artisan. How do you compare with that? Because AI is obviously eating a lot of jobs. And people are worried about that, especially the jobs that are more repetitive. And we keep saying that AI is going to help human beings by kind of replacing the repetitive and mundane tasks. But those
Right.
repetitive and mundane tasks are also done by humans. What I'm hearing is that obviously Baby Rocket helps the SDRs to be more efficient, effective. What is it? How would you say you compare with those companies that I just mentioned? How would you see I know it's two separate questions, but how do you see the future of AI tools impacting this vertical of jobs, you'd say?
I would say there's still going to be a need for SDR specialists, right? Just like, closers are really good at closing deals. SDRs, there's a certain dial of outreach that needs to be kind of attained for every company that you go to. And you need to become a professional in that environment of how to acquire appointments, right? And I think that's a human element that can't be duplicated across every single company. Exactly. Once you come into a business and you understand the needs of that company, you can then create a plan for reaching out to those people. What we're saying is that the SDRs will now have a tool to execute that plan beyond just human limitations, right? Without just relying on human capital, which can be very unreliable in repetitive tasks that are creative like this one. It can actually help that individual that's maybe in charge of that appointment setting department to do more with less, right? And it's going to help smaller companies compete with larger companies because a lot of these larger companies have, like I said, like if you have a SDR team of 100 people, you're going to get more appointments than other companies, right? And that was the old school. With B2B Rocket in place, now you have the smaller company that might have a better product that wants to grow at the same rate, that can now compete with these larger companies because they have the equivalent of a workforce of 100 people now, right? So it's taking away the advantage of super large companies and all their old school methods of appointment attainment and saying, hey, actually, guess what? Everybody can do it. In fact, we have a better product, and now we can book just as many appointments as you, and we're going to outgrow you, right? Because our product is better. So it's giving more, in my opinion, the better technologies are going to win in the end. And I think it is going to replace some jobs though. That is what it is. It's going to replace, maybe instead of having to hire 10 people, now you hire 2,
I love
right?
that honesty
So,
because it
yeah.
does. Jobs are going to change, and people are going to be having to learn new AI skills, and new jobs will come out too. That's what it looks like. There's going to be new tools, so there's going to be new people. It's going to use those tools and do different things.
I will say this: if you're not adopting technology, then you're shooting yourself in the foot, right? If you had you know, if you're pulling a cart without a wheel and then somebody invents the wheel the next day and now you can add a wheel to your cart and you ended up not doing it, you're shooting yourself in the foot because, you're going to exert twice as much effort to do half as much work. And this system is just like any other technology, any other tool. And if it's utilized correctly, it's going to improve everything. And I'm sure there was a lot of jobs lost when train system was invented, right? We were able to go across the country when trains were invented, or when airplanes and travel, and the
Definitely.
printing press, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there's always going to be a trade, but I think the trade is net positive for this new technology. Doing mundane jobs, um, and allowing us as people to, I guess, interact at a higher level,
Yeah.
right? Because we're gonna ultimately just, if AI reaches this point, we're gonna reach this point, right? We're gonna just keep on stepping up. So
Um, I have this one to last question, and that is, what is B2B Rocket not so great at right now, and its goal to be great at in the coming quarters?
I would say international phone calls. That's one of our points that we're going to be improving. Right now, we do email interaction and LinkedIn interaction and different things like that, and the phone interaction locally, but overseas, we are figuring out the phone service. So I would say that's the biggest improvement that's going to be coming down. We have the data, we have the creative AI, we have the automation, all the connections. We connect with your CRMs, connect with your calendars. We do all those different pieces, but international calls is an area of improvement, and it's something that we are working on right now. So,
Amazing. Is there
yeah.
any questions that you wish that I would ask and I didn't, that you want to, touch on or talk about?
I can't think of any right now. You've done a really good job of asking me good questions. So, yeah, yeah, nothing that I can pull off from the top of my head right now. So,
Awesome. And if the people wanted to reach out to you, what is the best way? Is LinkedIn good, or is it that your email?
Yeah,
Which
so
way would you?
LinkedIn's great. If you search Lorenzo DiRegolo on LinkedIn, I'm the only one. If you want to email me, just Lorenzo at b2brocket.ai. So yeah, shoot me a message. I'd love to connect with you and answer questions, do a demo, and show you how this technology works.
Then, will it be you, or will it be? Be honest. Will it be you, or will it be your AI that's going to respond?
It it should be me most of the time. If I'm really really busy, maybe not, but most of the time it's me.
I mean, if it can resemble you, the way you communicate, I don't mind. I actually would like to kind of, what is it? I don't want to say be fooled, but I would like to kind of be able to make that assumption. Oh, we'll be able to kind of distinguish whether it's you or the
Yeah,
AI. That's where the win is, to be
that's
able to
right.
do that. So,
Yeah, right now, I mean, it does a pretty good job of, I set it up. I uploaded over 10,000 examples of my communications into the system. So it's really good at replicating my email. It sounds like me. So
yeah, I do get emails from you still that I'm like, okay, is this the only reason I know that it's not, it's the AI, is because we've had, conversation about, what I was like, okay, if I haven't had that conversation on the phone, I couldn't tell if it's him, because it completely like replicates your style.
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's unlearnable by the AI, right? So it can't really know that we had a conversation. But yeah, no, that's a good point. That's funny.
All right. Thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, my pleasure. Always great talking with you, Sarah. You're awesome. And yeah, if you have any other questions for me, just shoot them over. And yeah, excited to talk with anybody about B2B Rocket. It's an exciting technology, and it's something I can stand behind. So yeah.
Awesome.
Anyways,
Thanks.
well, pleasure talking with you. Talk to you again later. Okay.
Bye.
All right. See you, Sarah. Bye.